variable which have been declared. Now, these particular global variables can be called anywhere in any of these particular methods. So in any of the method I can call. So now for an example, now here I have the sum of numbers, right? So now I can just print here. So saying printing here. So now here I can say that my global value is, so now I can print this particular value. What it is saying. Why I'm not able to use it? Change the static, because in static methods I can use only the static variables and static
object. Now you can access the objects.
It's not at all an object. So it is a static, means I need to define a static value, because in static methods I need to use the static
values only.
Static variables.
So now the problem is solved. You can see it. So now you can see this. I didn't declare anywhere here in the scope of this, because I declared this one in the scope of the class level. Okay. So now if you see here, now I can take this particular value and then I can keep it wherever I want it. You know, in all the methods I can use this. So now if I executed anything, this particular will be printed for me. So I started executing it. So you can see that my global value is 0, because I didn't assign any particular value for this. Now, for an example, if I have been given a value as 666, then I started executing it, I can see that value is 666. So now this is a global value. The global value, the scope of this one would be defined at a class level. So then this is called global. Means this can be accessed by anyone else. Now this is like a public park. So anyone can go into the public park and then we can be using it. So now it is like, for an example, if you have an apartment, so you'll have a park for that apartment. So you can daily go for walking, you can go and then you can spend your time there. You can, whatever the things you'll be doing, that can be accessed by anyone. But in your apartment itself, you have some space for your park in your house. So now just lawn on your terrace, on your first floor or on your second floor, that belongs to only for you. Not all other people can come and then access this. Now the same way, this is public, right? Now we will be having local variables. Local means this belongs to only the scope of the method level. So global will be the scope of the class level. Local would be inside this one. Now, whatever the variables which you are seeing here, so these are the local variables, right? So now int value. Now I can't use this particular int value outside this particular thing. So for an example, now if I wanted to print this particular value, see, if I given this one, it will say that, hey, you create this local variable. It is not there. Means the scope of this particular int value belongs to this main method only. Now, in this particular method, I can't use it. Now, in this method, I can use int value 1, int value 2. So these values are local to this method. I can't use this one external outside. So this is for the local variables and then global variables. Declaration of local variables and declaration of this. And always remember that when you're declaring this particular local variables, doesn't matter any, because you will be declaring inside the type of method, whether it's a static method or non-static method. So that's the reason you define anything. If you given that particular variables, it won't require anything. But when you are defining at a class level, you should define this one, whether it's a static or non-static. If you don't give anything, this is a non-static variable. If you given something, means you have been prefixed with this one, then this is called static variable. Now here we will be having the access specifiers also. Whether this particular variable is public variable or private variable, protected variable or default variable. Anyways, that we discuss in the access specifiers. So it is, means by default, you should understand that, hey, this value should access across this particular methods. Then we will be going ahead with the public only. Public, even from other files also you can access this particular variables. However, when you discuss the access specifiers, you can understand what is this public, private, protected. But I'm just wanted to show you the declaration part, how it can be declared. Now, without all these things also, you can declare. Without giving these static and all the things also, you can declare. So this is how we try to do it. Okay, so this is what global variables and the local variables. Any questions?
Sir, inside method, when we declare any variable without any keyword as static, it will be considered as static itself.
You mean to say that inside this one, I have used this one. So this is a static variable or a non-static?
Yes.
No, it would be non-static variable.
But still, it will be usable inside this method without creating a object.
See, the syntax itself, it is not allowing. So now when we have been created, you will understand this particular topic when I talk about the static and non-static creating suggest. Okay, just hold on till that particular point. Because I told you, right, static and non-static, if you don't understand, you will be spending hours and hours of time in the program to debug. You'll not even understand. That's the smallest mistake, but you will spend a lot of time. Okay, let's go there. So because object, now I know that this would be a confusion period until unless you jump into the object creation and then knowing this all. So that we will go very sooner. Now let me take you through first constructor and these things so that you will go for the next one. Okay, so guys, to give a quick recap, so we have been discussed what is method and differences between method, function, syntax of a method, different type of methods, which is normal method, parameterized method, and written method. So we have been discussed all these things also. Now we wanted to discuss about a constructor. What is a constructor, or how a constructor will be used? What is a constructor?
It is a special type of method which is used to
Okay, don't give me the group answers. I'll ask individual. I'll ask the individuals. Go ahead, Sujit.
It is a special type of method which is used to initialize the value to an object attribute. If we count on the features, the constructors, if we don't put constructors and create a object in a program, by default constructors will be added by the Java, and constructors should have the same naming as with the class, the same as the class name.
Any other pointers?
Sir, can I?
Go ahead, Bala.
Sir, construct is a special method with the same.
No. See, now apart from these four things, if you wanted to add anything more,
it has no
It will
written
never
type.
written anything. And it is used to allocate the memory.
okay. No written type.
And like method also we can use constructor overloading concept here.
No written type. Next.
Even parameterized overloading.
Without constructor, we can't create object.
Excellent. See, the most important point is object creation. So this is the most important point that we always discuss, because in the object creation, see now when you wanted to understand the static and non-static, the most important thing, so you see the OOPS concept, the complete concept revolves around the object. So now you need to create an object. If you wanted to create an object, constructor will play a vital role. And all these things are important, but without this one, that is not at all possible. Now, what it will do? So when discussing the object creation, we'll understand. Next, any other pointers? Any other pointers? One more important pointer.
We can
what do you say? I mean, we can create object in some other class. So
That is object creation.
I mean,
So constructor.
then we can initialize attributes in some other class, and we can access it in some other class.
That's the second point already written.
By default, the object is created, the constructor is called based on the creation of object.
Implicit calls will be calling like that. Implicit calls.
Calling the constructor by creating the object.
What do you mean by implicit calling? Swati?
Like calling the first constructor, then it executes the statement. I means that.
Okay. So calling the constructor
First, then the statement will go into execute.
Then statements will be executed. Actually, this would be in another way also. All methods of that class can be called after constructor called. Any others?
We can also pass parameters in constructor.
That is what the constructor overloading or parameterization.
Cannot have same names for the constructors too, as in methods. As in methods, constructors also cannot have same names.
Yeah, anyways, that's a method, right? So now these are also applicable. Whatever the thumb rules of method, all thumb rules of method also will be applicable. This signatures and all the things also there. But we can have the same name only because the constructor itself is the same name. That is where we will go for the constructor overloading. One important point that you guys are missing it. If you see the videos, if you see that object creation videos,
Object will be created in heap memory.
How it matter for constructor?
New keyword.
I'm talking about constructor. The one of the major feature of a constructor you guys are missing. That is what I'm saying. New keyword, those things are not topics of constructor, right?
We didn't create a constructor, it will go for the default.
Yes, usually I told you right, last year I took it more than 250 interviews in span of 6 months. Everyone is having 10 years, 15 years or more than experience. If you don't tell me what is a constructor and advantages of the constructor, you will not understand the concept of complete oops.
Sir, class name, the first name is the class name and the object and is equals to.
I'm not asking what is the syntax of an object creation. I'm asking features of a constructor.
Features.
See, the most important feature of a constructor, which you guys have been missed, is constructor will have the complete information, memory information. The constructor will have the complete memory information of a class, so that it says how much space it required to create object in heap or in memory. This is very, very important because the basic purpose of this constructor, these all things are important. I'm not saying that the initialization, default values, these are not really, everything is important. But apart from this one, this is the first priority. If you ask me to do the prioritization, now when I create a particular object, now for creating an object, now I just wanted to give a syntax for this one. So now here what I wanted to do, create an object, okay? Or This is called instance, right? Object is nothing but instance of a class. Object in technical description, technical definition, it is called as instance of a class. Actually speaking, what is a class? Class is nothing but, if anyone wanted to answer this.
It's the template of an object.
See, now this is like you're saying that hen means where is from the hen, which is first, egg or hen. So we are saying when you're saying that hen, then you'll say egg. Egg is that when you say that, then you're saying hen. No. You need to describe clearly what is a class. Now, for an example, I've given you chocolates, I've given you roses, and I've given you some more teddy bears, small teddy bears. Now you need to go back to your home. What do you try to do? You need to carry all. And what do you try to do? You'll take a bag. You keep all your teddy bears, the teddy bears, which is a soft toys. You'll keep it in some place, and all your chocolates and all things at one place. And you keep all your roses in one place, and all whatever the things which you have it. So eatables and all things you keep it. So you keep it in a bag, and then you'll be taken care of, right? Class consists of multiple objects with their respective attributes and behaviors. Means with their respective variables and respective actions, which is methods. Means class consists of attributes, and then attributes is nothing but your variables and then methods. This is the class, right? Public class. What is this class consist of now? What is this consist of? These all
Methods.
Methods.
and these all
Variables. Attributes.
that's it, right? What else you need to define anything else more than this? See, don't by heart the definition, understand that particular concept so that it will be any time you ask me, I'll give the answer. Now it consists of all variables, global variables or local variables, it doesn't make any difference. The variable is a variable. Class consists of multiple variables. Class can have multiple objects. Class can have multiple methods. See now variables.
So we can say like the behavior and characteristics of object, that is class. The multiple.
You will be having multiple objects, right? For an example, now I can create multiple objects. There will be multiple objects. It's not only for one particular object. The class can consist of multiple objects with their respective variables and methods. And variable methods may not be even for an object also. So it's a combination of more and more methods and variables and objects and their respective attributes and then behaviors also. Rather than attributes and behavior, objects with respective to the variables and then methods. You can see that is what you're seeing in a class, right?
Yeah.
And we can, with the main method, we'll have it. Without main method also, we can have it. It all depends upon our requirement. Okay, so this is called a particular class. Object is an instance of a class. What do you mean by instance? Okay, you wanted to get a SIM card now. I wanted to have a second SIM card. Now, when I wanted to go get a second SIM card, he'll ask me, hey boss, you give me some ID proof. Aadhaar card, PAN card. Now what I'll try to do? Aadhaar card, PAN card. Will I give original to him or will I give the Xerox copy to him?
Xerox.
Copy.
Why? If I given the original, what he will do? Nothing else, but why I need to give my original copy to him? And I need to give my original copy. So just I need to give a Xerox copy of that. Instance is also a Xerox copy. Instance is nothing but it's a Xerox copy of your original. Now class is original. And you wanted to give a Xerox copy of your class. That Xerox copy is nothing but an object. That's the reason it is called as an instance of a class. Instance, see in our English, we will say that, hey, give me the Xerox copy of your original or your mark list, right? The same thing, they'll call it as an instance of your class. Very simple, right? Now, I wanted to create an object, means Xerox copy of this class. How I can create the Xerox copy of this one? So first, I'll be writing with the class name Just give me 1 second. There's a shortcut key for this, but still I don't want to be confusing. I have written the class name, and what is the object name which I wanted to create. Now what I'll be writing in obj object, but still to maintain the standard obj for which class you are trying to create demo method. So always remember that obj you can give, so that by seeing that one I can understand that, hey, this is a means object which I'm creating for this class. Now you see what I did now. This is the first part of it. Declaration
Declaring of object.
Okay, don't shout. Declaration of the object. Okay, now we have been done the declaration of the object. Now what I need to do? Now I declared this object. Is this object is created? Not yet created.
Not yet,
in
sir.
the memory. So now how I need to create it to the memory?
By using the keyword.
Constructor.
Constructor.
New
By
keyword.
using the
Calling
constructor.
that constructor.
New, and always you remember that. So here we have been talked about, right? Default Java will be added the constructor. Now there would be a constructor. Now constructor to create this one, public demo method. That's it. Now what I'm trying to write here, SYSO. See, now I can create this one. If it is not by default, this was created by the Java itself. I am default constructor. Now, if I created this one, right? Now what this will do is, it will override the constructor. Override means what, boss? Now for an example, I'm writing something. I'll just scratch it off. So now for an example, now I have written something. So now for an example, so now what I have did is I have written it as Java. Now what I did, I scratch this one and then I'll write it like Python. This is overriding, right? The same way, now there is a method, default constructor method is there. But this method, I didn't call that one. So now I want explicitly created this method, right? This method will override that particular method. But still this is a default constructor. Constructor is nothing but it is a special method. And for this special method, the most important thing is how we can identify the constructor is the class name and the method name both are same. Then this is a constructor. That's it. How we need to identify the constructor? The class name and the method name will be same. And always remember that it will not have any return type. The signature of the constructor will be different with the normal methods. So now that's the reason we are saying that it's a special method. And by default, it will be added. And the class name, it will be same as a class name. And there would be no return type. So now this is that particular constructor. Now,
even if it is a method, sir, it is accepting the uppercase as the name, right?
But even in your normal methods also, it will accept the uppercase. But always you remember, because the class name will not start with a small letter, right?
Yes.
So that's the reason this particular method name will be capital letter. But remaining every method should start with a small letter. So now as why it was taking the capital letter, even this is a method, you need to take a small letter means the class name will not start with a small letter, right? So now the small letter and then, see now I can't give this one as a small d. So now if I go here and if I wanted to give this as a small d, it will not take because the class name and the constructor name should be same.
Yes.
Now this would be a separate method. Now this will treat as a normal method. I don't want to do that. Change this one to the constructor. When it is a constructor, how I define the name of the class, this would be also the same as this. Now, coming back here, now I wanted to create that particular thing. So now what I need to do, this is not yet created in the memory. Now I wanted to create in the memory the object name equal to new, and then here I'll be giving that particular
Constructor.
the class name which I have it, right? So now I'll be giving this particular name here, and then I close this. Now what it will happen now is it started to create that particular object with this. What happened? Why it's showing here? Expected this. Okay. Save. So close on.
So we need to mention it in a single line for that.
Sorry, tell me.
The object and new and constructor method, we need to mention it in a single line. That's the error.
No, that would be not error. Let's see. See, I just wanted you did it in the 2 lines. Then I can put it into a single line also. So I just wanted to show you how those things will work on.
Sir, even I wrote a program regarding constructors. So I'm getting another there, same as we wrote. Not regarding semicolon, but regarding object and material.
No. So there is some other small mistake. So,
But the previous
So
procedure
we
also
need
was
to-
correct only, sir. It should have.
So
just give me some time, please.
the statement is not completed yet, sir. So that the error.
Okay, problem solved. Now, okay. Problem solved. What I did the mistake. So you need to understand the mistake. If you see that previously I'm getting this error, right? Why I'm getting this particular error? Because this is a syntax error. What is a syntax error? Is the object creation, whatever that I'm trying to do it here, that I shouldn't do at a class level. Whatever the object
In the
creation.
main method.
So now, if I wanted to declare that one, I need to create that object directly here. I am declaring and then creating that object. I shouldn't do it here at a class level. So that I need to do it here. Now, if I wanted to do directly, I can do it here itself. So now this syntax will work on. So that is the reason it was not throwing me error here. See, at a class level, this is at a class level, right? At a class level, when you are creating it, don't declare that and then do it. Now, if you wanted to declare and create, so you declare here and create inside a method. Okay. Now we can create an object in these ways. So now for an example, now what I try to do, I do it here rather than having confusion. Okay, problem solved, right? Now you are clear, right? I just declared. So now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to declare a particular object, Now here I'm creating the memory. Here. Now always remember, object will be created in which memory?
Heap memory.
Keep memory.
Now, when it comes to Java, Java will have 2 types of basic memories. One is static, not stack memory,
Stack memory.
and then heap memory.
Heap memory.
I'm sorry, by default it came. So stack and then heap memory. So these are all the things which means always remember that all the objects would be stored in the heap memory. Memory means what? You'll have internal disk, internal SD and external SD to store your data, your pictures in your mobile phone. The same way, we'll have internal memory and external memory. In Java, it was classified into stack memory and heap memory. So in heap memory, I'll go and store all my objects. Why I need to store my objects in heap memory? Those things that we don't want it. That is where it defined by the Java experts. Means the whoever designed Java, they said that boss will be created. This it will go and store by default in the heap memory. Can I change from heap memory to the stack memory? No. It will go and store, all the objects will go and store in the heap memory. Okay. Now, if you see here, this is the class name. This is the object name. This is the declaration of an object. Now, here the class name, this particular object, I need to create that particular memory. So now when I created that memory, so then it will go and store in the heap memory. Now I have written the 2 lines. Now, is it really required to write in 2 lines? No. So now what we can do is we can have this one into the same line also. And just I wanted to take this one and then keep it over here. And just keep this one as an object 1. So now this object 1 and this is object 2. Now what it matter now? So now for this particular class, can I create number of objects?
Yes, sir.
Answer is
Yes, sir.
for your
Yes.
PAN card. Can I take multiple Xerox copies?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
that is what I'm trying to do. Now for your class, I'm creating 1 Xerox copy. Now this is second Xerox copy. You take any number of Xerox copies. How many you wanted, you take it. Who stopped you? Now if you see here, demo underscore methods. This is in red color. This is in white color. Both are same, right? This is also class name. This is a class name.
No, sir.
No,
No,
it
sir.
is declaration.
First is
First
Always
one
class
is
name
remember.
declaration.
and demo methods constructor.
Always you remember that this is left hand side and then this is right hand side, right? On your left, which you're seeing, that's a class name. You're saying that, hey, for this particular class, this is the object name. And you understand this class, this is for this particular class name. This is the object name I'm declaring it. Now, when I'm creating it, I have 2 things here. One is new. New is a keyword which it will allocate the memory in the heap memory. Means it's, for an example, you went for a resort. So we go for a vacation, right? We go for a resort. Once we go for a resort, so then the resort manager will ask me, there will be a receptionist and receptionist will allocate you the rooms, right? Now you need to go and say that, hey, I need single occupancy, or I need double occupancy, or I need a suite room. So now that need to allocate, because you need to tell that what type of room you wanted, right? Now when I go with the family, so that I need a suite room. So now then I need to inform to the manager. Now this new is like a manager who allocates the memory, but how much memory you required, what size of memory you wanted. So that would be stored by, that information would be stored by this particular constructor. Without constructor, you can't create an object, because the constructor will holds the complete information of your class, memory information. How it will store? Now, for an example, I declared integer. Okay, I give you a small example so that I can understand whether you guys understood or not. Now, there is a class A. There is a class A. There is a class A. And in this particular class, I define 4 integers. Int A, B, C, D. Now, what is the size of a class?
Sixteen, sir. 16 bytes.
Very simple, right? You know what is the size of an integer?
Int is
4
4
bytes.
bytes.
4
Four
bytes.
into
4
Variable
into 4.
16.
16.
That's it. Now I have a method. I have defined some methods. In this method, I define some more integers, some more statements, so that it will occupy the space. These variables will occupy the space. Who will have the class level information? All these particular variable space, method space, everything would be noted by constructor. What this guy will do is, He will knows the complete information of your class, memory level information of a class. So that he will say that, boss, I need 16 bytes of space. It will come here and this guy will ask, right? Hey, how much space you wanted to create in the heap memory? So now this is what my heap memory. Now someone need to allocate the memory. The new keyword will come. He will try to allocate the memory into the heap. Now he need to say that, boss, I need 16 bytes of space, so that the Xerox copy will be created with the object obj1 with 16 bytes. Now, second Xerox copy he created, how much space it will take?
16 bytes.
16 bytes. You take PAN card Xerox. You will get PAN card or Aadhaar card.
PAN card.
What is there? It will come there. Now, you second time you take in. What you will get? Will you get Aadhaar card?
16.
Third time, fourth
No,
time, you take
same
10,000
memory.
times. If you take the Xerox, 10,000 times you'll get the same PAN
Same
card.
16 bytes.
Now, whenever you created any object, then what is the size of this one?
16
only,
bytes.
right?
16 bytes.
Now, how many objects you wanted to create for a class, you can create it. And the memory size will be given by constructor, and the size would be constant whenever you create an object. That's it. That is what an object creation. And all static, non-static methods should be called by the object. Non-static variables and methods. This is called as non-static members. Now you tell me, not how we will be defining non-static members. Something is not there in front of any particular variable. Something is not there in a method level. If I don't mention this static, then by default it is a non-static.
Non-static.
Now, if I have the non-static methods, non-static variables, all those things will be called by your Xerox copy. That's it. If it is static, I can directly call it. If it is a non-static, I would be calling with the class, the object. That is simple. See now, if it is an object, if it is a static, then the static variables would be called directly. If it is a non-static, then it will be called with the object names. That's it. Is it hard? You remember, these questions are not even answered. Means you go and ask to your whoever working, if they explain this particular statement, they are really good in this one. Oops. But many of the people will not explain this one at all. What is a constructor? Constructor, everyone say that constructor will have the same name as a class name, initialization. Because now constructor is like, for an example, now there is a VIP coming into a ribbon cutting. Hey, one bodyguard will come. Hey, just move. He clears the path, then the VIP will comes. Constructor is also same. Whenever you're calling a particular class, the constructor will first come. And then he will set up the space and everything. With this constructor, you are allocating the memory for this. With this particular object, you are calling all your methods and variables. That's it. And if I define static in front of this one, then it is called static variable. If I don't define them, then it is non-static variable. If I define static, then it is called static method. If I don't define, then it is a non-static method. Now, let me see back here. So now, if you see here, we have been discussed the most important pointers of the constructor, that it takes, the constructor will have the complete information of the memory. Everyone understood this statement?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now,
when I call the constructor.
Sir, one question might be out of index I'm asking, but the whiteboard, you explained one example. So in that, when we are assigning some 4 integers, there are 4 bytes of value with each integer. So it is going for 16, and by default, the constructor will allocate 16 bytes of data. But in the code, we did not, if we don't define actually how many integers we are taking, and we are creating one object, it will at that point of time, what will be the memory size, how the constructor will behave?
Why you worry about that? Java will take care of that. It will calculate that. See, now you need to understand the concept, how it will be done, but how the calculation it was happening. So how it's, you know, for an example, in calculator, you will be entering 10 into 20. You will be getting output as 200. But do you really matter how it is calculating internally for it? The same thing here, right? So why you bother about the internal execution of that particular Java? Java will take care of the allocation of the memory. See, now for your understanding, I was just trying to say that what exactly the constructor will do. So now there is these all methods are there inside this one. How much the space is given for a method? How we will know it? So now for this method, I have used integers, 3 integers I used, so that I can say that first there are 12 bytes which he allocated for integer. But I have been keeping the written statement, system.println statements, and all these things. And there will be size it will occupy for this one also, right?
Yes.
How much size it will be occupied by this? That we don't know. And even it is not really required for us also, right? That is where the constructor is there. The constructor will take care of that. No need to worry about how much space it can take in calculations and these things. We don't want it. As an output, whether we are able to create an object and the constructor is coming and doing this. So that is what we need to look at. The calculation parts and these things, it's not our responsibility. Just for your understanding, I taken a class with the 4 variables so that you can understand that, hey, the size of that class would be 16 bytes, so that 16 bytes information will be given by constructor to the object creation so that it is easy for creating it. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the next one. So we have been discussed as part of this one. So the first one is a special method, default name as this one, no return type. So we don't have any return type. And overloading and parameterization, I'll talk when we talk about method overloading and all. And without object, we can't create any, so without constructor, we can't create an object. And constructor will have the complete level of information of a class. And when you call this particular constructor, then it will be done. So now initialization and these things. For an example now, when I started to execute this particular statement, means for an example now, when I created an object and calling the particular methods and all these things, what it will try to do is, before that, I just wanted to execute something. Those all initializations will happen in a constructor. Now, if you see here, now when I started to execute this, okay, so I'll clear it of all other things so that it will be very clear. Okay, so now what I'll try to do now, comment all this. Just so now I just wanted to execute this one. So now here in my main method, I don't have anything. So in the main method, I only have a sysort. So I'm saying that I am in main method. So now when I execute this one, what would be the output of this? What is the output of this one? What it will be printing me in the output?
I'm in main method.
Go for the constructor and print that one, and then print I am in.
What would be the output of this? If I execute this one, what it will print for me?
I am in
I'm in
default
main
constructor
method.
and I am in main method.
No. Will it see how many people says that I'm in main method?
I'm in main method.
I am in
Okay.
main method, sir.
If you see here,
First
first
it will-
if you see here, now here we have this particular constructor. Now if I click on this constructor, it will go here.
Good. I am
Then it will
default
print here,
constructor.
and then it will come and then it will start printing this one.
Main method.
So that's the reason it is printing through. So whenever you are there, so the first thing it will call that particular constructor and it will print whatever the information or initialization which we wanted to do. So this is called initialization. For an example, now I wanted to print an I value. I value, okay, I shouldn't do that. So int value 2 equal to 200. Okay, so now I'll come back here, and when I I do this declaration as a global. I did the global declaration and I assigned the value to 200. Now, here I'll be having this value. See, now these are all things you should play so that you can understand this one. So now, okay, so now what the value it will be printing for me?
I'm a default constructor. I'm in a main method with 200 value.
First 2 lines and 500, sir.
Yes, sir. It will replace the 200 with
500.
the 500.
Reinitializing.
That's it. So now this is an initialization value, but what we have done, we have been overlap that value with this. So that's the reason it was printed like this. Very simple. Okay. So by this, what you need to understand is what is a constructor. So constructor is a special method. It can help you to the initialization of this one. And if you don't define a constructor, by default, there would be, we will be having a default constructor which will be added by Java. And the name, class name and the constructor name would be same. And there will be no return type for this one. And without constructor, you can't create an object. When you create an object, so for constructor first will be called, then it will be called the class, and constructor will hold the complete information of that particular class. Now what you can do is create multiple classes, create an object references or object. See, now this is called the object reference. Now this is what the object reference. So now create 3-4 classes, and from other classes you call these particular non-static methods. Don't call static methods with this particular object. Non-static methods only should be called. Okay, call means you create demo 1, demo 2, demo 3. Demo 1 I have 5 methods, demo 2 5 methods, demo 3 I have 5 methods, demo 4 you create demo 1, demo 2, demo 3 classes, and from that particular demos call these particular objects into other classes. Did you got the assessment?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Under the non-static method, we call that object.
That is what I'm saying, right? All non-static methods only can call with this one. Static methods, how I wanted to call the static methods and static variables?
Without
Directly.
object.
directly.
Directly we
without
can call.
We can call with the class name.
Oh, yeah.
Class name dot that particular method. Class name
Class
dot.
name
You know, in the same class, if you are calling directly, you can call it. But when you are calling it from some other class, you need to call with the class name.
Class
see,
name.
it's like, see, now for an example, there are 2 people in the class. So now, for example, any name you can take it. For example, Chris. So now if at all here, the people can understand I'm local. But when I'm calling from other, then you need to call with a Chintakayala Krishna Chaitanya. So now that's the surname. So now I'm just saying that with that particular surname, if you call me, so that even though if there are multiple Krishna Chaitanyas, it doesn't make any big difference. Now that is where when you're calling that particular name, that particular method from that particular class name should come first, and then it should come followed with the method.
Method name.
If it is in the same class, you can call with the directly. But if it is in another class, you need to call with the class name. See, you shouldn't forget this at any point of time. Static members means it includes the variables and methods. Static variables can be, static methods of the variables can be called directly to other class with the class name. And non-static variables, you should create an object for this. And with this particular object only, you should call this one. So that is the basic difference between a static and then non-static. So the static variables can be called directly on this one, and non-static variables you should create the object and then you should create on this one. Rajesh, need 2 minutes to call just that. Okay, so that is how the static and non-static variables would be called from one class to another class. And this is really very important. Understand that And in main method, as the main method is a static, so then that can be called, means only the static methods and static members can be called into the main members. Now, tomorrow we will work more on this particular thing. So on static and non-static, we'll understand it much more better. Okay. So one thing which I wantedly kept it apart is method overloading and overriding, because those concepts are belongs to the polymorphism. That's the reason I just kept that one separately. Okay, that we will discuss later part. But now we discuss the methods. So if you see that this is what the transition from methods, we went to the constructors, and from constructors we jumped into the hoops. Okay, so this class, tomorrow class, next 3-4 classes are really very important. Try not to miss this. If you miss this, you will not understand the next further classes at all. And these are very basics, and this would be very important sessions. Mark my word, if you don't understand static, non-static, constructor, and based upon this, another bigger picture it comes, which is interfaces. So if you don't understand interface, you can't understand Selenium, because Selenium architecture itself, it is created on terms of interfaces. You tell me, I don't know the interface, then how I can know the architecture of Selenium? I don't know the architecture of Selenium, how I'll write my code? Not possible. So my next 3-4 sessions are very important. Do concentrate and then proceed further. Actually, I changed the session pattern. So previous videos and this videos, you can see a lot of difference. Because if you see that videos and this videos, it is completely a contextual differences there. So follow that particular context. You can, why I'm doing that one is, anyways, you're seeing that videos and this, so that you can have a very clear understanding on this one. That is what my intention. I know that I'm delaying these particular sessions, but if you don't understand, there is no point for me to do it. See, it is very simple. I can explain the constructor in 5 minutes, object creations in 5 minutes, and all these hoops concepts we can complete in 1 hour. But it's not my intention to complete. It's my intention. You people should understand each and every point. Now, when you go for an interview, you should be able to answer the questions. That's what the basic point you need to remember. Okay, that's it for the day. Any questions for me? Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day. See you all. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.